PCN is brought to you in part by the following underwriters.
Hello and welcome to PACTV Community News. We're excited to bring local stories from our towns. Tonight we meet the people behind the Queen Bee Company out of Pembroke, and we head to Norwell to learn what goes into being an organic flower farmer.
We get an update from our friends at New England Coastal Waters Alliance, and we practice with the Pilgrims in Plymouth as they undertake their All-Star game.
PCN stops into the Jones River Landing, where the EPA came to train people on how to test their local pond water. And we get a summer season preview from Duxbury Rural and Historical Society.
We meet another pet in need of a forever home with our Pet Adoption Spotlight, and Town Talk brings the Kingston Waterfront Festival chairman to the set.
It's a full show, and we begin with the word cyanobacteria. Have you ever seen a pond covered in green gook? It may be cyanobacteria, commonly called blue-green algae. It relies on warmth and sun to grow and has become invasive as area ponds and surrounding concrete drainage areas continue to see a rise in their overall temperature. Cyanobacteria can have potential neurotoxins, which are problematic to water, people, and animals. PCN stopped into a citizen training put on by the Environmental Protection Agency that came to the Jones River Landing to teach people how to test area ponds and keep tabs on the bacteria levels.
Today we have a workshop here at Jones River Landing Environmental Heritage Center. The EPA, Hillary Snook from EPA, who is an expert in water quality issues and cyanobacteria blooms, is offered to do a workshop for South Shore watershed associations and towns. So we have Plymouth and Halifax and Kingston and Pembroke here, volunteer groups, and this is a hands-on training. Volunteers can learn how to identify cyanobacteria blooms in their local ponds and take samples and be able to report those to the town and the state and the federal agencies.
One of our big areas of study is cyanobacteria blooms, which are a national and global health threat and threat to public water supplies, public health risk. So what we're trying to do is educate the public. They're starting to become more aware of cyanobacteria and harmful algal blooms and what kind of risk they pose to human health and animals, as well as drinking water supplies. So this program is designed not only to educate people, but to engage people through citizen science, to actually start collecting data and information, which helps us as scientists across the state, across the region, across the country and beyond, to really gather more information to really understand this problematic issue.
The risks vary. They can be mild, such as skin rashes. They could be respiratory problems. But the biggest concern is if there are toxins. And they can be a neurotoxin. They can go into the liver, the heart, the brain, and they're not always there. So that's the mystery part. And so it's important to test and keep an eye out for that.
I've been all over New England with this so far, with these training programs. The South Shore is an interesting area because there's a lot of kettle ponds, lakes, water bodies that don't have an inlet, don't have an outlet, except through groundwater seepage. So when problems occur, they're hard to correct and alleviate.
For about a decade now, we've been following the cyanobacteria blooms, which everyone called algae at first, and then we learned about blue-green algae, and now we realize that the proper term is cyanobacteria. And it does have numerous public health impacts, and the water bodies are connected. So we're also very concerned that our water, which is a tributary to surface waters, will go from the Monpont ponds in Halifax over to Silver Lake. So that's what really helped form a partnership between Kingston, the Jones River Watershed Association, watching out for Silver Lake, watching out for the city of Brockton. We want their water to be healthy, in addition to our water bodies being open for recreational use.
Hopefully they'll walk away with a better understanding of the issues surrounding cyanobacteria, the importance of learning more about it and educating themselves as far as public health risks, effects to their water supplies, and also hopefully getting them to engage in participating in this program. We really embrace the public because state, federal agencies don't have enough resources anymore to have eyes on the ground and really see what's going on. So this is a huge benefit if we get the public's engagement in it.
We are really encouraged by the response. We have town officials here and we have a lot of volunteers, and I think it's really telling that people are willing to step up in a time when funding can be short and these things are really difficult, and people are willing to get out and solve problems in their own community.
Nature yields many benefits, sometimes from very tiny buzzing bees. We stopped by Queen Bee's honey farm in Pembroke to meet the bee guy, Paul Camello, and to learn a little bit more about bees, honey, and their benefits to health. We also got to learn a little bit about the bee man himself and how he came to be a beekeeper. PCN reports.
Well, about 15 years ago, I had a career come to an end. I was a professional photographer for 30 years. And with the innovation of digital cameras, everybody's a photographer now. So I needed to find a new career, to make it short. And I loved bees. I love bees. And I was it's just a very fascinating world, the whole colony of bees and how they work and how they collaborate together. And they're very communal and they work together towards a common goal. And I was just kind of always amazed by that and admired it. The reason I got into keeping bees here on the property, when I met my wife about 16, 17 years ago, I came to Rocky Run Farm, and it's just the most beautiful piece of property. And my father-in-law is a retired veterinarian, Roberts Animal Hospital, Dr. Roberts. And there's no animals here on the property. And I said to him, well, this would be a great place for a honeybee colony. That one hive became 4, and then 6, and 12, and 20, and now we're up to about 40. Honeybees produce a lot of different products. One is honey, of course, beeswax, propolis, and bee propolis is very, very important. That's something that I've just actually really started working with about 4 years ago. Honey is a natural humectant, which means like if you get a cut on anywhere on your body, if you get a cut, best thing you can put on a cut is honey. People think I'm crazy when I say that, but honey suffocates the bacteria, and the bacteria will feed on the sugars, the glucose and the fructose sugars of the honey, and it will actually kill it. So you're killing the bacteria, which of course is going to make you heal quicker. What I love most about my job is just beekeeping. I love beekeeping. I'm happiest most when I have a bee suit on and I'm just chilling out around a hive, just checking it out, and that's the best part. And I love the farmers markets. We do the Plymouth Farmers Market and the Hingham Farmers Market because when you go to farmers markets, I love the people. I love all my camaraderie of all the other vendors, but it's the customers that come that are awesome. They bring their kids, and I give them all a honey straw, and they're the happiest kids in the world, and they just come by and say hello. And it's just great to see the families together and just come by, and I just see the passion within the farmers markets, and it makes me happy.
In the town of Duxbury, the name Alden carries most of the historical weight. Not to be forgotten is the Bradford family, as the Duxbury Rural and Historical Society has put major resources into their latest project called Reimagining Bradford. On display at the Bradford House on Tremont Street is an exhibit showcasing the lives of the 4 Bradford daughters. We spoke with the executive director of the society before the exhibit opened to the public to learn more about these 4 extraordinary women.
The DRHS has been engaged in a capital campaign for the last several years to reimagine the Bradford House on Tremont Street in Duxbury. This is a multi-year project in order to complete structural repairs on the building and to completely reimagine the exhibitions to be more inclusive and to tell the story of the Bradford daughters. In this room, we feature information on the 4 Bradford daughters, Mariah, Elizabeth, Lucia, and Charlotte, who were born in this house and lived their entire lives here on Tremont Street in Duxbury. So one of the things that we're trying to do is to create a real sense of a relationship between the viewers and the audience and the Bradford sisters. We want you to get to know them as intimately as we know them through their letters and through the objects that they left to us in the collection. The Bradford sisters were involved with most of the major social movements of the 19th century, not just involved, but deeply connected to and even founding members of things like a temperance society here in Duxbury. They were fervent abolitionists at a time when basically nobody was. They were radical, they were passionate, and they were very involved in the welfare of their community. As the Civil War broke and the world changed around them, they got more involved with the world that they lived in. Charlotte Bradford was an incredible Civil War nurse, and her career is absolutely unique to the American experience. Her sister Lucia was also a Civil War nurse, and the objects that they left behind to us not only tell their experiences as individual nurses, but they give us windows into the experience of women's experience during the Civil War and what women on the home front as well as on military lines were experiencing. We've dedicated an alcove of the house to tell other unknown, lesser-known Duxbury stories. We want to talk about people who have been largely unrecognized. We want to talk about things that deserve further conversation. We want to talk about topics that maybe are a little bit difficult. And so we've dedicated a space for a changing exhibition that will change every year and sort of add a secondary narrative to the larger Bradford story. One of the things that we've talked about in the last gallery is this notion of lives well lived and aging, taking care of each other in a world before hospice or social security or social services, what medical care was like at the time, and how they made do with what they had here in the home. And we are fortunate to have been left some really interesting artifacts about healthcare. So we want to get out of this notion of presenting historical objects to you with the rank and file information on the labels. Of course, that information is still available to you, but we want you to think about the larger narratives of community and identity, aging, activism, larger questions that we still live with today in the 21st century. It's not so far, not such a big difference, not such a big gap between the Bradford sisters and what we experience today. And it's those very things that make this museum still relevant to audiences.
For the first time ever, the Plymouth Senior Baseball League All-Star team was playing against the Plymouth Babe Ruth All-Stars, and they were playing for the Have a Sammy Kind of Day organization. But before the evening's festivities, both teams were treated to a couple hours of practicing with members of the semi-pro Plymouth Pilgrims, doing fielding, pitching, and hitting drills. To add to the diversity of the day's events, some of the younger Little Leaguers from the Plymouth area were invited to practice with the big guys and the bigger guys. You don't even have to like baseball that much to appreciate what a fun event this was for 3 generations of athletes, especially the Home Run Derby.
The practice with the Pilgrims is really something that generated from the actual All-Star game itself, and we wanted to see what we could do to include as many people as possible. And by that I mean any kids of any range in any league that we have in this, in our community of Plymouth. And this particular practice with the Pilgrims, we have players that are just about to make it. They're on the doorstep of perhaps a professional career. And then we have our All-Star players from both of our leagues who will be playing in the game later tonight. And to add to the whole experience, we've invited the younger kids, 12 and under, to kind of take advantage of the day, the experience in total, and really a great mentoring opportunity for our All-Star players from both leagues.
Mark contacted me over the winter, told me about the day, asked if we would want to be involved in working with the younger kids, which we were happy to do. For us, it ties us more to the community. It lets us make that connection to the community that we need to operate here in Plymouth. So.
Mark Way runs the Downey division in Babe Ruth, and I run the senior program, and we got together in a couple of emails and said, let's take a look at this and see if it'll work. And I talked to our league commissioners to make sure of charter issues and all that stuff, make sure that we could do it. And then he tied the charity into it that he used last year. And it was just a good way for both programs to merge.
We put the kids through infield drills, outfield drills, try to teach them as much as we can in an hour on the fundamentals. Probably ratchet up a little bit from what they're used to. We're hitting balls a little bit harder. We're introducing some things that they may not be used to. Pitching drills just to get a chance to work with a college player who's an established college player, potential major league player. Just a chance for them to get out there and learn a little bit. Maybe they pick up a nugget here and there that helps them out going forward.
It brings up their spirits when they see the kid making the play, the older kid making the play, and then they get the next ground ball and they make the same throw. You know, I can make that play. That puts it in their head. They can throw it from center field. It's not going to go as far, but they're still making the same play as the kid who was getting scouted by a major league team. So it's a great thing for them.
Typically, my expectation after every one of these events from the past 4 years is the kids take away an experience that they will remember going into the following year. This is really the culmination of our seasons, both leagues. And to end it on this positive note with these players and in this environment, it really sets the stage for what these kids are going to do the following year and the year after that.
That ball's gone, and that wraps up the home run derby. Give the Plymouth Pilgrims a hand.
Unless you grow your own flowers that you put on display on your dining room table or kitchen counter, you probably don't know exactly where those flowers are coming from and what kinds of chemicals are used to grow them. The ladies from Cross Street Flower Farm in Norwell are aware of this, and they've made a point of growing everything on their farm without the help of chemicals or pesticides. When the folks at the Foodsmith Bakery in Duxbury heard that they were doing a flower share program, they made sure to be one of the pickup sites. We headed up the road to Norwell to talk to these budding entrepreneurs.
Waking up every morning to a landscape like this, gardeners, green thumbs, and just plain flower enthusiasts may feel like they've awoken in a planter's paradise. But for Nikki Bartley, who lives here, today is just another day at the office. Or for her business partner, Kara Gilmartin, a drive to the office. Of course, that's a bit tongue-in-cheek, as these two friends, who met when their little ones were in preschool, are truly committed to their craft. What you see now started only as a small plot of flowers in the summer of 2015.
I started with 4 raised beds in my front yard, and every season I just tilled up more and more beds. I got interested in farming in 2010 when I helped to start Norwell Farms. It's a community farm here in town, and I apprenticed in the fields in 2013, and we grow organic vegetables there, and I just noticed a lack of flowers, and so I decided to start my own flower farm.
That flower farm now covers roughly 1.5 acres at several locations around the town of Norwell. And just as the farm has grown, so has their customer base. Through their flower share program, people can order their flowers and pick them up at one of 4 locations here on the South Shore. One of those pickup spots is right here at the Foodsmith Bakery in Duxbury. And why shouldn't it be? The store's owner was one of the first customers. Unfortunately, all of the orders from the weekend had already been picked up, but Laura Raposa was nice enough to leave these snapdragons out just for us. Meanwhile, back at the farm, the ladies are busy putting together the following week's orders. While the farm hasn't achieved certified organic status yet, that doesn't necessarily mean the farmers aren't using only organic methods to grow their products. At Cross Street Flower Farm, being organic is extremely important.
We don't want to work with chemicals, and we certainly don't want our kids or pets to be exposed. We care about our land and our honeybees, so we don't want to use anything like that, and we certainly don't want our customers to go home, smell our bouquets, and being exposed as well. So everything we use is, all of our products are organic.
Summertime is the peak time for these growers, but this is definitely a year-round endeavor. Starting in late January, the seeding process gets underway here in the greenhouse. In April, they start harvesting the spring bulbs, and that harvesting and growing season runs from April through mid-October. For the ladies, the work put in at this boutique farm is a passion, and that's something they hope shines through with each bouquet.
What we're trying to recreate is the feeling that we have when we walk in our fields of flowers. We want to be able to give a little piece of that to our customers.
At Cross Street Flower Farm in Norwell, I'm Brian Sullivan for PACTV Community News.
The New England Coastal Wildlife Alliance launched a new interactive display that kids and adults can enjoy. A life-size model of Salt, the most famous humpback whale in the world. We went for a tour of Salt during a recent summer program and met her from the inside out.
My name is Carol Carson, but everybody calls me Krill because I'm a whale biologist and I'm a shrimp. And I'm the president and the founder of the New England Coastal Wildlife Alliance, an all-volunteer nonprofit based in the South Coast area. We're at St. Bonaventure's. This is their summer Bible school, and we've brought our brand new commercially made inflatable of the most famous whale in the world. And this is a humpback whale named Salt. And she is so special because she was the first whale to ever be named. And the reason she was named is because on her dorsal fin, the fin on the back, she has a lot of white scarring. And the person that named her in 1976 decided to name her Salt because that white scarring looks like somebody salted it. And this is how this whole research began, where you can actually identify an individual humpback whale based on natural features on the body. And not only can you walk around the model and see how big she is from the outside, but you can go inside and see a lot of the same internal structures that we have. So you can see her heart, her lungs, her ribs, her stomach. So it's really a lot of fun for kids of all ages to actually get inside the whale and to actually kind of connect.
Thank you. Thank you.
This program, we're working with kids of all ages. So I think we started with first grade and now we're up to 7th grade. So we are going to basically have 150 students from the Bible school going through SALT today. One group is going to go inside the whale and learn about all the unique structures and organs that she has. Then another group's going to go to a table where we have lots of whale artifacts, bones, baleen, not just whale material, we also have shark jaws, ocean sunfish skin, ocean sunfish bones, and most 99% of these artifacts are real. And we also have prey samples. You're going to see that whales eat very, very small food items, prey items, and it's amazing to see that some of the biggest mammals on the planet can make a living eating tons of small plankton or fish every day. You could go right now, you could go whale watching off the Cape or off the mainland and actually see this whale. You could see Salt.
Our pet adoption segment brings us to the Kingston collection and the Friends of the Plymouth Pound to meet a pet in need of a forever home.
I'm Gail Fitzpatrick with Friends of the Plymouth Pound, and I'm here at our adoption center located in the Kingston collection. And we're spotlighting one of our great cats today. His name is Monty. Monty just arrived probably about 3 weeks ago. Monty was found in a neighborhood in Manomet, the Manomet section of Plymouth. He had been outside for probably about a year before the neighbors could get a hold of him. He is seeing a vet and had all of his tests, vaccinations. He's been neutered, he's been microchipped, and he's a great cat. He was found to have FIV, which is feline AIDS. We wish they'd have another name for that. However, it is only contracted by other cats if they have a fight and draw blood. So he can go to a home with another cat that might have FIV, or he can go to a home alone, which he would probably prefer because he wants to be the king. But he's a great cat. He's a lap cat, and he loves attention. He talks a lot. This is Monty. Friends of the Plymouth Pound has all of their felines available for adoption at our adoption center. Applications to adopt are located at the center, or you can go online to our website or Facebook page to fill out an application. Our dogs are kept in foster homes. There are pictures of the dogs on the website. If you're interested in a specific type of animal, you can fill out the application and get added to our wish list. Thank you very much. Monty says thank you.
We're very pleased for Town Talk in Kingston to have with us Michael Frenette, who is the chairman of the Kingston Waterfront Festival Committee. Welcome.
Thank you so much,
That's
Julie.
a mouthful. And this is a wonderful waterfront festival that is going to be in Kingston on Saturday, August 19th. So talk to me about what the festival is, how long it's been going on, and what can I expect if I attend?
Thank you, Julie. So it's the second annual Kingston Waterfront Festival. It starts from 10 a.m. and goes to 7 p.m.
Yep.
And it's on August 19th.
Which is a Saturday.
Which is a Saturday. And the rain date's Sunday.
The 20th, okay.
The 20th, but we're going to pray
Yes.
no rain, because Saturday is what we're scheduling.
Yeah.
And so I need Kingston to do a little rain dance for me.
Okay.
So
And where is this going to be located in Kingston?
it's going to be Grays Beach, like it
Beautiful.
was last year. Beautiful backdrop.
Yep.
We had started off with a regatta last year, so that'll be at 10 o'clock again this year. We're going to have a regatta.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole idea is to get in the community, engage the community with the businesses. They're all local businesses in town. And this all started because we're the Kingston Business Association, so we thought, what's a good way to engage the business community and introduce them to the residents and really engage the two and really support local businesses. So we went out and found a bunch of vendors last year, and we're going to have a bunch of them from this year. So for instance, new vendors from this year would be Kavanaugh Insurance. We also have the Greenway Farm. We're last year selling vegetables, so kind of showing them as a vendor. Webby Engineering would be one. We had local politicians coming. We had the Council on Aging will be here this year with the Kingston Public Library, who will also be coordinating fun events. Big Ryan, for instance, is coming.
A favorite with the kids.
Thank you. Yes, he's great. And, he does puppets and great voices, and he's just really entertaining. The kids were in awe. We have some pictures on our Kingston, on our website, our Facebook page. And we have some pictures of the event last year with the kid.
So if I come to this event, I see vendors, I see businesses, I see artists, I have food, I have demonstrations. What are some of the demonstrations that go on during the day?
Okay, so we're going to have Thurston Academy, like we had last year, martial arts, kung fu fighting. So we're going to have them, and they put on a show last year. People were going wild. The community was saying, oh, I didn't even know these guys were here. And they put on this huge demonstration. The kids were so well trained and disciplined, and you could see the other kids who hadn't actually signed up for this thing looking on and saying, wow, I could do that.
Right.
So a lot of fun. So that's an example of some of the demonstrations and community-driven events.
Do you have musicians at all?
Oh,
Singers, dancers?
Last year we tried to, and it didn't really work out, but this year, thanks to a grant, not really a grant, but Anna Guba, the late music teacher in town of Kingston, gave the town of Kingston some money to support local arts in the community.
Awesome.
And so we were able to get a grant to through this to get the Fay Band to headline.
Awesome.
So
That's fabulous.
they rock. Great rock and roll band out of Plymouth, so we keep it local, of course. And they're going to be going on, I think, around 5 o'clock.
Okay.
And they'll be kind of bringing us on home to the 7 o'clock. So that's like the big headliner event.
And then the movie's afterwards.
And the movie is after. So we're going to be having, it's called Finding Dory.
Yes.
The sequel to Finding Nemo. And that's going to be set up at approximately 8:15ish, whenever it gets dark. Yes, exactly.
Sit down with my picnic and my family and look at the screen, and after a wonderful day at the festival.
Right, and that's all in, that's all in coordination with the rec department, which has been fantastic. And through the Sampson Fund, they put on these movie events. So we're taking on the kind of management of the whole thing, but it was all thanks to the Town of Kingston rec department to be able to make this
put it all
happen.
together. That's wonderful. Do you know how many people came last year?
It was a steady stream. I want to say 1,000 people. Wow. I'm definitely optimistic that it would be. It was definitely over 500, and it was probably under 1,000. But it was, a lot of kids and then adults. So.
And the first year is always tough.
Oh God,
But now that the word's out, you'll have a much better showing this year, I'm sure, and then next year again.
For sure. And listen, it worked for us having a steady stream of people where we wouldn't have huge crowds all at once, because then there was more interaction with people individually, and you weren't fighting, elbowing around with everyone.
And they can enjoy it. Okay, so we'll make sure everybody goes to the Kingston Waterfront Festival on Saturday, August 19th. Thank you so much. It was great to have you.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this week's local stories. To see them again, you can go to PACTV's Prime channel on our website or check us out on YouTube. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. We'll see you next week for more local stories.